Welcome into the Ravens Rundown, everybody. So happy that you are joining me on this fine Sunday afternoon. We got a blockbuster trade to break down on today's show surrounding Trevon Diggs, the cornerback for the Dallas Cowboys. Could Baltimore make a move for him to kind of shore up their defensive back row? Last Word on Sports released an article, and they said three teams that are top trade destinations for the cornerback, and right there at number one are the Baltimore Ravens, followed by Los Angeles Chargers and the Kansas City Chiefs. Here's more from Anthony Palacios. It's never a bad time to add more cornerbacks to strengthen a team's roster. In 2025, the Ravens had a questionable secondary unit where veteran Marlon Humphrey was carrying most of the weight. Even though Brandon Stevens had his moments, especially during 2023, it wasn't enough to earn him a new contract in Baltimore. They should know Humphrey is aging, and he will need another cornerback to shed the success of what this Ravens secondary unit is looking for. Diggs might be running out of gas, but he could salvage this unit as a backup behind Nate Wiggins to reduce the stress. Now, backup, I think that's a stretch. If you're going to trade for Trevon Diggs, you're not going to trade for a backup, especially with how much money he is making. But, I mean, if you look at the production, it's definitely gone down over the last couple seasons, but a lot of that is due to injury. The last two seasons, he played full years. He had over 50 tackles in each, combined 35 pass breakups, combined 14 interceptions. He's a guy that if he can just manage to stay healthy, he could be somebody that really, really salvages something for Baltimore. And because of that, trading for Diggs does make a little bit of sense. I'm going to outline in just a second three reasons why it makes sense, not only for Baltimore, but for Dallas as well. But before that, make sure you guys are following me over there on X. I got 5 reasons for you to do so. Insightful and entertaining coverage. Sometimes I'm funny, sometimes I'm not. Just follow me, take the chance there. You get pictures of my dog Applesauce on there pretty much every single weekend. Also, you get a shout out on Tuesday's live show, so find me at Joey Petersen 8 on X. So let's talk about this from Baltimore's perspective first. The Ardarius Washington injury is the biggest reason that trading for a cornerback, and a cornerback of that caliber and Trevon Diggs, makes sense. Let's just be honest. Ardarius Washington tearing his Achilles threw a wrench in everything. Now, I'm not saying that from how dare Ardarius Washington have that happen. I feel so bad for the guy. My heart goes out to him. I'm so excited to watch him ball out in 2025. But let's call a spade a spade. It kind of screwed up the entire defensive backroom. Because before the Ardarius Washington, this is how everything looked. Your free safety was Starks. He was your strong safety. Kyle Hamilton, you kind of having that nickelback / flex role where you could put him in the slot, you could put him in the back, and you could put him wherever the hell you wanted to. And then your two outside quarterbacks were Marlon Humphrey moving from the inside to the outside. And then, of course, Nate Wiggins going into year 2. And then Ardarius Washington got hurt. And everything switched up. And then the warts began to show in Baltimore's defensive backroom. Because now Kyle Hamilton's your free safety. Malachi Starks, he shifts over to strong safety. Your nickelback's flex slot position, that's going to be Marlon Humphrey because he showed last year. That's where he shined. Your outside corners now are Nate Wiggins, a guy who's going to have to step up, be CB1 on this team, and Chidobe Awuzie, a guy you brought in free agency who kind of everybody's like, that's a fine signing? I mean, he appeared in 8 games for the Titans last year. He was fine. He had a really good start to his career until he tore his ACL after starting the first 8 games in the 2022 season for Cincinnati. But in those 2 years, in 2021 and in 2022 before he got hurt, he had some really good years. 78.5 coverage grade in his first 2 years with the Bengals. But when I look at Chidobe Awuzie, it just doesn't reek confidence for me. Are we confident in Awuzie to be a starting cornerback on this roster? Because I don't know about you guys. I would feel much, much, much better if he was a guy who was just a rotational depth piece. Not a guy who's out there playing 800 snaps in a season. What say you guys? Should the Ravens trade for Diggs? Let me know by giving me a yes or giving me a no in the comment section down below. I'll give you my answer later in today's video, but y'all start with giving me yours. Another reason why it might make sense is this time for Dallas's perspective. They went cornerback early in the draft. And they got a guy in Shavon Revel Jr. who I felt like was probably going to go even earlier than they got him. Round 3, pick number 76 for the cornerback out of East Carolina. I talked a ton about him along the entire pre-draft process. If you watched any of my mocks, if you watched any of my draft breakdowns, my draft analysis along the months of March and April, I guarantee you heard me talk about this guy, say his name. He's got a lot of really great things about his game. Unfortunately, he's coming off of an ACL tear this past year with East Carolina, but still, even with that, I had a round 2 grade on him. They got him in round 3, and I think this proved a little bit of Dallas's feelings on Diggs. Not necessarily that they're 100% out, but I think going corner in round 3, especially when it's that guy, I think proved a little bit that they aren't 100% in, if you're catching my drift. Deron Bland flashed onto the scene for Dallas when he got 6 pick sixes in a single season. And since then, they haven't really been able to see Bland and Diggs on the field at that same time, right? Because they've both been kind of dealing with their own fair share of injuries. Well, now you add in Shavon Revel Jr. You add in a guy who can be a cornerback 1 on a team, I believe, even as a rookie. And it feels like if there's a team willing to give Dallas a little bit of something for Trevon Diggs, they can offload his contract and kind of, feel like they're good because Revel's in there. Maybe they'll do it. Make sure you guys head over to Fanatics, though, if you guys want this Baltimore Ravens shirt. If you love the Purple Rising uniforms, you're going to love this t-shirt. Chatsports.com/Ravens t-shirt is where you can get it. $16. That's all it is. I thrifted this t-shirt, and it was like $10. And you get one brand new with your favorite team, with your favorite logo, and the best color scheme in the National Football League for just $16. Chatsports.com/Ravens t-shirt is where you need to go. Help out us right here on the channel. Support the Baltimore Ravens. Support our friends over at Fanatics. 3 for 1. Go right now. That link is in the comments and description of today's video. Another reason why a trade kind of makes sense is I don't think you would have to give up a ton to get him. Especially when you compare it to what you would have had to give up in 2021 for a cornerback of his caliber, a guy who had 11 interceptions. He did not start OTAs with the Cowboys because of injuries. And many people think that the injuries he sustained last year, had season-ending surgery in December, is going to keep him out at least for the first 5 or 6 weeks of the season. He's just missed a ton of time over the last 2 seasons, which is funny because he came into the league and he wasn't thought to be a guy who was incredibly injury-prone. He's just kind of turned out to be that way over the past couple of years. It all started with the torn ACL in September in the 2023 season. And then last year, week 5, ankle injury, week 9, calf injury, and then December 24th, Christmas Eve, is when he had that season-ending knee surgery. He's missed 21 games. 21 in the last 2 seasons. And it wouldn't be that bad, except they're paying him a lot of money. He's a lot against their cap. 12.6 in 2025, 18.4 in 2026. If they release him pre or post June 1st, they'd still save a lot of money, $12.56 million or $15.5 million. He's got 0 guaranteed money left on his deal. And because of his injury history and the money still on his deal, basically what I'm saying, it means that trade price would not be that high for Baltimore. And honestly, because of that, not the trade price, but because of the price of Diggs and the injury history there, I feel like Baltimore's out. If we know anything about Baltimore is we know that they don't make a ton of splashes with trades. They don't make a ton of splashes in free agency. They're kind of just boring. And that's because they typically have a really good roster. And Baltimore believes that they can compete with this current roster. Now, if you look me in the eye and you were telling me Joey Trevon Diggs will not get injured in 2024, I would trade for him in a heartbeat. I still think he can be a really, really solid cornerback. And if you get him in this defensive back room with Marlon Humphrey, Nate Wiggins, and you got Kyle Hamilton and Malachi Starks in the safety room, this team is back. This defensive room is back. But it's just a big risk for a lot of money, okay? However, with all that being said, what wouldn't surprise me is if Baltimore makes a move for cornerback at the deadline. Because I don't believe that Chidobe Awuzie is the answer at corner, okay? Maybe TJ Tampa surprises me and shows me something during minicamp, training camp, OTAs, whatever it is. Maybe we go into 2025 with him as the starting quarterback right next to Nate Wiggins and those two ball. I would love, love, love to be wrong. What if I'm not? What if I'm right? If so, keep an eye out the trade deadline. Maybe they want to kind of tie up all loose ends in this defensive roster and do that with a cornerback. Make the call for me in the comment section. Does Baltimore need to add to the cornerback room? If you think they do, type A for add. And if you kind of wanted to keep it just how it is, go ahead, give me a K for keep in the comment section. I called for it at the beginning of today's show. Make sure you guys are following me on X. You can find me at Joey Petersen 8. You can find me on Instagram as well at Joey Petersen 8 on that platform. And as always, lock us in right now. Big red sub button. You can't miss it. And if you do, well, don't subscribe today.